Hello, for this session, I will share to you planning network operating system deployment. This is chapter 1 of our course, ITSY 0202, Network Operating System Administration and Security. Okay, so my name is Randy Katakutan, your teacher or your lecturer for this semester. Let's continue our journey. I always like to present this because we are not in the classroom setup. You are at home watching this video. Our objective of this session or this module that you will be able to understand the network operating system definition, some characteristic, background, so that you will be having idea. You might forget the definition of operating system. Okay? You will be able to understand also the requirements before you may deploy the network operating system. And you need to understand that the server has a lot of roles when you deploy it or install it in your network. And also, it's just not only deploying or installing the network operating system, we need to know the hardware requirements before we start the installation. Okay? Because there will be always a requirements for you to able to install the network operating system. And also, the last objective that we need to explore different alternatives available for network operating system. It's not only Windows. Okay, there's a lot of operating systems available in the market that you can use as your network server. Okay, so network definition and characteristic of a network operating system. Okay, so most of the time, I will be using NetOS or NOS. I'm referring to Network Operating System. Okay, it's not only operating system because operating system is different from a network operating system. When we say operating system, primarily it is only referring to a one entity or a device that is managing by the operating system. When we say network operating system is designed to allow many users to share file and resources. Basically, one of the primary objective or function of a network operating system or why you are building a network is to share the resources. Okay? A network operating system is a computer operating system that is designed primarily support workstation. When we say workstation, it is referring for your personal computer, some resources or some books or some reading material. They are referring to PC, workstation, what more? Terminals. So it is repair or sometimes hosts. They are referring to a computer. Okay? So it provides environment in which users who are aware of multiplicity of machine. Okay? So it's not multiplying the machine. It is the concept of multi-user and multi-processor that one of the characteristic of network operating system. So when we say multiplicity of machine can access remote resources, either login in the remote machine. When we say remote machine, it is not physically within the area. It will be outside the area. Like for example, now, I will show it to you that my computer right now, it's connected to my computer in Almusana College of Technology. See? I'm using a remote desk to access my computer in the college. So this is my computer in the college. At the moment, see, I just show it to you this. I'm using uh, any desk, okay? That is with the help of network operating system. Okay? You may log in to the remote machine or transferring data from the remote machine to their own machine. When we say machine, it is referring to the system. Okay? A user management and support for login and log off for remote access and system management. Those are some function, definition of the network operating system. Okay? It is a user management. Like for example, in our college, we are in a one domain. Everything has a user account and password and need to be authenticate before you can use a system. And that is a form of log in and log out. Okay? A network operating system run on a server. See? On the image here or the picture here, we have a server. When we say server, is also a computer. A computer that is more than the capacity of a regular computer. Like for example, you are running 8 GB in your machine. So when we say server, they are running more than 8 GB. Okay, they are running 64 GB. It depends to the capacity of the server. Okay, they have a large storage capacity. Okay, so if you are running 1 tera right now, it might be running 100 tera. Okay, it is more than your computer. When we say more than computer, it is, I'm referring to the capability of your system. Okay? So network operating system or NetOS is also designed to support workstation, database sharing. Okay, when we say database sharing, it refers to records. Like for example, you 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 can be able to download anytime, anywhere your transcript. Okay, it's a form of database sharing. It's resources, application sharing. Okay, print sharing, file sharing, and also to provide policies and security for the network services. So when we say network operating system, the network operating system is giving a service. Okay? This is in the form of client server. The one who will provide the services or request is the server. Okay? And they are connected to a network using hub or switch. Workstation is your terminal, your host, your PC, or it can be in a wireless form. Okay? And we have a wireless access point like in the college. So we are connecting to students, SSID, or lecturer. Okay? One of the characteristic of a network operating system is also supporting multi-user. When we say multi-user, multiple user. Like you can uh, how many user we have in the college? We are most likely 5,000 user in the college. Okay, including staff. Network operating system server is a multitasking system. When we say multitasking system, capable of executing tasks or processes at the same time, a NOS can perform multi-processing. Okay? Because of server equipped with one or more processor. I hope you understand clearly the multi-user, multitasking, and multi-processing. So, basically, the network operating system is responsible to reliable distribute processes, file system, network component, networking protocols, and other associate component in a secure manner to end user, services, and devices. You are always heard services. When we say services, one of example of services is email, browsing, okay, downloading, DHCP, those are the services. When we say DHCP, the server will be automatically assign IP address to the client. Okay? DNS, okay, those are the services. Also, and when we say devices, these are computer, router, switches, printer, IP phone, access point, okay, cable, those are the devices that is referring for a component that the network operating system is securing. Okay? The decision for deploying a network operating system will be depend on the organization, because the main purpose of this discussion is about planning. Okay? So there are such thing we need to consider before we deploy the new network operating system. Examples of network operating system is Windows Server 2016. Okay? There's a lot of servers. These are only example. Unix operating system, Mac OS operating system, okay? But when you deploy the new operating system, such for example Windows Server, the network operating system is must be scalable, okay? Must be available and also reliable. Okay? What is scalability? Okay? I want to share this definition because this is very important because you are in information technology. When we say scalability, the property of system to handle growing amount of work by adding resources to the system. So, the system, the network is capable for growth. We can add, okay? There's no limit. That is the term scalable. Reliable. When we say reliable, it is defined as probability that a product, system, or service will perform its intended function adequately for a specific period of time. It will operate, it depends to the environment without failure. Okay, that is reliability without failure. And also, your network operating system must be always available. All availability. Availability is the amount of uptime in a network system over a specific time interval. When we say uptime, it refers to the amount of time on a network is fully operational. Okay? So when we say available, it must always operational. We have what we so called 7-Eleven. Okay, 7-Eleven. When we say 7-Eleven, your system must be 7-Eleven 7 days a week. Okay, 7 days a week. 7, sorry, 24/7. Sorry, 24/7. When we say 24/7, this is 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. So what does it mean? Your system is available 24 hours and 7 days a week. Meaning, there's no downtime. It's always uptime. Okay? So we'll continue the presentation. So deploying a network operating system, it's not that easy. Okay? It's not that simple. So the system administrator, you need to plan a deployment in advance. Following are the things you need to consider, the areas to be considered when you are deploying the network operating system. Number one, requirements of the organization. When we say requirement, it means what services and application that the organization needed. Okay? What the services? When we say services, for example, you want a Microsoft application with web services, with email services, with file transfer protocol services, or you want to download and upload. Okay? Those are the things you need to consider. Number two, budget of the organization. So this is very self-explanatory. When we say budget, it is answering the question how much the availability financial resources of the organization. Okay? It's referring to budget. How much? Edition of the network operating system. What version of network operating system provides different services and hardware support. So you will be looking for a Windows, you will be looking for Mac operating system or Unix operating system, or what version it is, 2012, 2016, 2018. So you need to identify those area. User interface of operating system. How the operating system will allow the administrator to interact with. Okay? How we interact with the operating system? With the use of graphical user interface. We are using the mouse to communicate by clicking, right click, left click, okay? Or by keyboard keys. And that will be CLI, command line interface. Okay? So there are two most commonly used interface for the network operating system. One is graphical user interface and CLI, command line interface. Okay? Virtualization support. Okay? We are also considering the virtualization support of your network operating system. What does it mean? So when we say virtualization support, mean running more than one operating system in a single physical machine by sharing the resources like RAM, storage, okay, your resources, and that is the one we need to perform in our activity. That's why the first activity you have done is you already installed the virtual box. Okay? You must have a virtualization software. You must install it in your system. Okay? So one of example of virtualization software is VirtualBox or VMware. They are the same. VMware is licensed. We are using VirtualBox because it is free. No need for us to license. And lastly, one of the areas to be considered is the role of the network operating system. Where you will use it? You will use it in local area network for printer sharing. You will use it in wide area network for database sharing, for file transfer protocol, for email purposes. You need to identify that. Okay? So you must know the areas to be considered in deploying the network operating system. When you already install the network operating system, you need to know the roles of the network operating system. There's a lot of roles that the network operating system can perform. And these are few because in the succeeding topic or chapters, we will discuss some roles and services of network operating system. Okay? These are only some. Authentication server. So when we say authentication, it is asking who you are. Okay? When we say authentication, it will ask who you are. Okay? In the domain environment, it is known as primary domain control. Okay? Backup domain controller. And in Microsoft Windows, this is basically Active Directory. Okay? In our college, we have authentication server or Active Directory used by the college. Okay? So that is one of the function or role of the network operating system. Domain member. The network operating system will not provide a user authentication services. Rather, will work as a server within the domain. So, a network operating system can be part of the domain, okay, to act as give another service. Okay, file server will provide storage space for authenticated user. Like you have OneDrive, okay? You have OneDrive in the college. So when you open your account, when you are authenticated, OneDrive, it's there. Print server, provide printing services to the domain user. Okay, with the use of your account, you can print in any laboratory as long as the printer is connected to network. Standalone server. Standalone server provides services with local authentication. Okay? So, server installation. The server installation planning includes your decision of selecting the options to install, roles, and upgrade. Okay? So, install, roles, and upgrades are options for you before before installing the network operating system. Before the installation of the system, administrator had to decide which version of the operating system that you need to install. It will be 32-bit or 64-bit. Okay? So again, 32-bit or 64-bit is the version that you need to consider. Because later, if you will add some services, it will not be compatible. So, I hope you know where to find this type of server operating system. You may go to your this PC properties. Okay, it will show this, and my system is 64-bit operating system. Okay, so when you click this PC properties, it will go all the system, then it will show the information. You can find that your system is 64 or 32-bit. Some of you might be asking if you are installing the virtual box, better to have a 64-bit operating system. Okay? Let me close this. Let me proceed. So type of installation, it can be core installation of full GUI installation. So we already discussed when we say GUI, GUI, Graphical User Interface. Okay? When we say CLI, this is Command Line Interface. Here, we are using mouse to communicate. Here, it's like the command prompt in router and switch. You are communicating by means of command. You need to type in the prompt. Okay? There are four major editions of Windows Server 2016. Hyper-V, Essentials, Standard Edition, and Data Center editions. Okay? Let us define it one by one. What are the characteristic definition of these editions of Windows Server 2016? We are using 2016 here, class. Okay? And that you can download it on the link that I provided in Microsoft Teams. Okay? So the edition of Windows Server 2016 are Hyper-V Server. It is a pre-version of Server 2016 meant for running the Hyper-V role only. So the purpose is to be hypervisor for your virtual environment only. So when you install the Hyper-V, it does not have a GUI. There's no graphical user interface. It's essentially a stripped out version of server core. Okay? When we say strip out, you remove the graphical user interface. Okay? The core is also doesn't have a GUI also. So when we say Hyper-V server, it's only designed for running Hyper-V role only. Okay? Next is Essential Edition. Is ideal for small business or small businesses and individuals with very basic server need. There will be a graphical user interface. Okay? It's pretty much the same as standard with the exemption of the Essentials wizard that runs. Basically, all are, when you configure here, it's more on wizard. When we say wizard, the operating system will help you step by clicking next, yes or no. Okay? While you can disable this wizard, the system is really meant to be used with it. Okay? And this will be the next two. Standard edition. Standard edition is ideal for any company or individual that needs advanced features but will still not be virtualizingly heavily. Okay? So, when we say standard, there will be a number or limitations for you to run for virtual machine and for a physical machine. Okay? So, virtualization right. When you install the standard, you are allowed to run up to 2 virtual machine. Or, for Hyper-V container or physical instance, only 1. Okay? When you have a standard edition, you can run up to or maximum 2 virtual machine because that will be your license. For physical, you can only install in a 1 physical machine. Okay? Data center edition. It's ideal for any company that is highly virtualized. You purchase licensing according to how many cores your hosts have that any VM running or virtual machine running data center can live on. So for data center, those who are really handling a volume of data that they are transacting for corporate, for companies that they are catering because this is allow you to create unlimited amount of virtual machine. So for data center, unlimited. But again, you are paying for license. The virtualization right for data center is unlimited virtual machine or Hyper-V container. Okay? Uh, the version APEC with features are available after you install as the presence of graphical user interface and multitude of services. Okay? Within the standard and data center edition server 2016, there are also different installation options you can choose. These are desktop experience, core, and nano. Desktop experience install option most people are familiar with. This is the one we will perform in our lab practical activities. So, desktop experience. Remember that because this is the common mistake of the students. They are installing the core edition. This option install the most features and roles out of the box, including the desktop graphical user interface. The benefit is the system may be easier to manage for people use graphical user interface. When we say core, lacks a GUI. There's no graphical user interface. Only few roles that are installed by default. You also have less updates, reboot, and open ports to deal with. Okay? That is the core. Later we will discuss more about core server. Nano is available only as container-based operating system image. It's meant to be run as container within the container. Okay? So, it's just only a container. It's like a machine that you will be run a one machine like a core, server core mentioned above. Okay? This is nano, it's less. Okay? So, of course, we have hardware requirements for you to install Windows Server 2016. Okay? So, processor, minimum 1.4 gigahertz, 64-bit processor. That's why if your system is 32-bit, you cannot install Windows Server 2016. Okay? RAM is 512 MB megabytes. Okay? This space is 32 gigabits. Okay? Network or your interface card, Ethernet adapter, your LAN card. It can be 10, 100, or 1000 base T. Ethernet, Fast Ethernet, Giga Ethernet. Okay, and these are optional. Optional for optical storage or the DVD drive. Okay, video, if it is VGA, 1024 and 708 resolution, the higher the better. Optional, input devices, keyboard and mouse, and internet, your broadband access. Okay? You need to remember this. Role of the server, as I said, we already discussed some role of the server. Depending on the requirements of the organization, it is important of properly planning for required roles. Windows 2016 Server can provide more than one services. When we say services, it is referring to roles. Okay? So, these services are called server role. Following are the common role of Windows 2016 Server. Primarily, it will be an Active Directory domain controller. Okay? File server for downloading and uploading, okay, of your data. Print server for printing services. File server also for storage. Web server, commonly as the IIS, Internet Information Server. Application server, okay, let's say you want to, when we say application, those are software and programs. Network policy server, let's say you want to allow and deny some some network. Routing and remote access server, SQL server, DHCP server, DNS server, and Exchange server for email. Those are the primary role of a server. So, a virtualization strategy refers to the act of creating virtual. When we say virtual, you are creating which is not existing. So you can attach. It's not actual. Okay? When we say virtual version of something including virtual computer hardware platform, you can virtualize the processor. You can virtualize the storage. You can virtualize the memory. Okay? So, when we say virtualization, you are creating for like a logical. Okay? It's not really existing. It's not actual. Okay? In a virtualization, The server which provide virtualization of other operating system is called host operating system. Okay? And the operating system which run as virtual machine is called the guest operating system. So what does it mean? Your physical machine is your host operating system. When you run a virtual box, that will be a guest operating system. Okay? So the operating system that you will install in the virtual box, those are guest operating system. Those are virtual. The Windows Server 2016 Data Center Edition and the Standard Edition, each includes support for Hyper-V. For each edition, vary in the number of virtual machine. Vary. When we say vary, for standard, only maximum 2. For data center, unlimited. Okay? Each running instance of the Windows Server 2016 operating system is classified as Physical Operating System Environment, POSE, or POS. Or in a Virtual Operating System Environment, BOS or BOSE. Okay? So, this is the table for you to know the physical and virtual environment. After installing the Hyper-V role, you can then create virtual machine and perform BOSE installation on them. The number of BOSE installation permitted by your license. If your edition is data center, unlimited. If your edition is standard, it is only 2. Essential is 1 physical and 1 virtual. Okay? Okay, let us continue. Installing Server 2016. So we are already, let's say, install it. The Server 2016 core is installation options that minimize the user interface on the server. When we say core server, it is minimal services. When you select the Windows Server Core installation option, you will install a stripped down version. What does it mean? You remove or cut the operating system because Server Core doesn't have start menu. There's no desktop explorer. There's no shell. There's no Microsoft Management Console. And no virtual graphical application. All you can see when you start the computer is a single window with a command prompt. And that command prompt is called Command Line Interface, CLI. Then, you will communicate by means of typing. Okay? It is important to note that Server Core is not a product, okay, or edition. It is an option. Okay? Because we have only 4 editions of Windows 2016. Hyper-V, Essentials, Standard, and Data Center. Okay? It is important to note that the server core has no graphical user interface. Remember that. It works with command prompt only. Server core has no graphical user interface. It works with command prompt. So, it provides only 12 of 19 roles of Windows Server 2016. So, the role of Windows Server 2016 are 19. Okay? 19 roles. But when you install the server core, you only have 12 available role that you can perform. Okay? 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? So those are Active Directory Certificate Services, Active Directory Domain Services, Active Directory Lightweight Directory Services, the Active Directory Right Management Services, the DHCP server, DNS server, File and Storage Services, Hyper-V. Okay, as we design, this is an option. Print and Document Services, Remote Access, Web Server, and lastly, Windows Server Updates Services. Okay? When you install the server core, you don't have the Active Directory Federation Services. You don't have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't have the Active Directory Federation Services, Application Server, Fax Server, Network Policy and Access Server, Remote Desktop. Why? Because the server core doesn't have desktop. Okay? Volume Activation Services and Windows Deployment Services. Those are 7 not available when you install a server core. So for minimal server interface is a setting that removes some of the most hardware intensive element. When we say hardware intensive, those are application services and role that eats a lot of memory. Okay? So they remove that for minimal server interface. They remove the hardware intensive element from graphical interface because it is purely CLI. These elements include Internet Explorer, the common components of Windows Shell, including the desktop, File Explorer, and Windows 8 desktop apps like your notes, your time, your help. Those are desktop apps. Also omitted are the control panel items implemented as shell extension. I believe you know the control panel of your system. So there's no program and features, device and printer, firewall, font, network sharing, display, Windows Update, storage. Those are not available. It was omitted. They removed on the control panel. Okay? So, after removing the additional application from the core, the following component will be available. So, you remove something and something will be available. Server Manager application, the Microsoft Management Console, the Device Manager, the entire Windows PowerShell interface. So, I think you are familiar with Device Manager. All your all your devices installed on your system. So, planning the server upgrade. Server upgrade means upgrade an existing running server to higher version of the server like Windows Server 2016. Example, when we say upgrade 2012 to Windows Server 2016, that is an upgrade. Example, Android 6 to Android 7, that is an upgrade. Okay? iOS 10 to iOS 12, that is an upgrade. Upgrade is the most complicated form of Windows Server 2016 installation. It is complicated. Okay? It is also the lengthiest and the most likely the cost problem during execution. Therefore, if you will upgrade, you must well verse, meaning you know you are comfortable to perform this because you might be encountering trouble and problem along the way. Whenever possible, Microsoft recommend the administrator to perform clean installation. When we say clean, new. Okay? New installation. Or migrate. Later we will define what is migrate. We will migrate required roles, application, and settings instead. When we say migrate, you are only transferring particular. Okay? Not all. Okay? So consider the following before you perform any upgrade to Windows Server 2016. Before you begin an upgrade to Windows Server 2012, for example, you should perform number of preliminary procedure to ensure that the process goes smooth and the server data is protected. Okay? So what is the objective? Why you need to prepare to upgrade for a smooth transition at the same time your data is protected. Planning the upgrade properly is key to success. Therefore, consider the following before you upgrade to Windows Server 2016. So when we say upgrading 2012, Windows Server 2012 to Windows Server 2016. Check the hardware and application compatibility. Okay? Make sure that the server meets the minimum requirements, the hardware requirements. Remember, there's always a requirements. Okay? So you need to check the hardware, uh, hardware compatibility and application compatibility. Check disk space. Okay, what is check disk space? Make sure that there is a sufficient free space on the partition where the old operating system is installed. Because during the upgrade procedure, sufficient disk space is needed to simultaneously hold both operating system. Okay? Confirm that the software is signed. Okay, what does it mean? All kernel mode software on the server, including the device driver, must be digitally signed or the software will not load. Okay, if it is not compatible or it's not signed, meaning it's not recognized, it will not be loaded on the new operating system. Okay? What else? Save mass storage driver on removable media. Okay? When we say save mass storage driver on removable media, example of removable media is tape drive, CD drive, okay? External drive, so we can consider that removable media, your flash, you need to protect your data. Ensure computer functionality. Okay, ensure computer functionality. So to ensure the computer functionality, ensure the computer functionality that it will work on the hardware that you are installing. Perform a full backup. This is one of the important. Perform a full backup. Okay? Before you perform any upgrade procedure, you should back up the entire system. At the very least, the essential data files. Your backup should include data and configuration. Not only data, even the configuration. When we say full backup, you need to duplicate. So that once something's happened, you have your own backup. Disable virus protection software. Okay? If it is enabled, sometimes it is not accepting some applications. Okay? Disable the virus protection software. Virus protection software can make installation much slower by scanning every file that is copied locally to your computer. Okay? Disconnect the UPS device. You know what is UPS? UPS is uninterrupted power supply. Okay? Uninterrupted power supply. I will type it so that you should know what is UPS. Okay? UPS, uninterrupted power supply. You know what is UPS? When the power goes down, the UPS work. So when there's no power, the UPS will work. That's why our server is not allowed to shut down. It's not allowed to have no power. It must have a UPS. That is our backup for power. Okay, when there's no electricity, still the network will or the server will work. Okay, that is UPS. Migration versus upgrade. We already define what is upgrade. When we say upgrade, you are moving. Okay, you are moving for a new one. Okay, like for example, 2012 to 2016. Migration is different. Okay, when we say migration, is the preferred method of replacing an existing server with one running Windows Server 2016. When we say migration, it only copies vital information from existing server to clean Windows Server 2016. When migrating, nearly all the restrictions listed earlier in regards to upgrade do not apply. You remember those things we need to consider before upgrade? When you are migrating, those are not applied. Okay? So to go back, this I'm referring to before you perform upgrade. If you are doing migration, no need for you to consider this. These things only perform if you want to upgrade. Okay? So I hope the presentation is clear. Any questions? Okay? If you have questions, clarification, you may direct me to email or through Microsoft Teams so that I can address your questions. So I believe for you, you need to download already. You need to download our uh, what do you call this one? Our server 2016 installation. Okay, so it is available already in our posts and files in our Microsoft Teams. Start to download because next time around I will start the practical. Okay, so that will be chapter 1 or module 1. Thank you.